Hello and welcome to the Accessibility Guides podcast. We are your hosts, Brad Miller and Rob Williamson-Bino. Please remember to like and subscribe. Today we're hanging out with Avery Roberts and Kelly Berger as we chat about their experiences living with congenital muscular dystrophy. Welcome, Kelly and Avery, to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
I myself, I try and raise awareness about Becker muscular dystrophy, and I'm also trying to learn more about the other types. So if you could just explain a bit about, I guess, is the short form for it CMD?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, myself or Avery, you want to jump in and you're better at the description than I am.
Sure. Kelly and I both live with congenital muscular dystrophy, or CMD for short. It's a rare genetic disorder of the muscles. It's actually Kelly and mine's subtype of CMD. We have the same subtypes that makes our perspective a little bit more unique, but it's actually ultra rare. Our subtype is collagen 6 related myopathy. Um, and so basically, CMD um, is where the muscles break down faster than they can repair or grow. So it leaves Kelly and I and our community members and affected individuals as mobility device users. Kelly and I utilize power wheelchairs as our means of mobility and independence. Um, Muscle weakness is really the main symptom and characteristic of congenital muscular dystrophy. It's pretty similar to the other MDs, but it's congenital, so it means that it shows up um, at or soon after birth, and it's a progressive disorder. So our phenotypes and our severity can be kind of different as well across all the different subtypes. But I won't get into, the whole science of it, but that's kind of a little bit more about CMD.
So what made you want to become a disability advocate and, start sharing your story?
Yeah, I think for us, it's just seeing the community and like society in general just needing to have better outcomes and better accessibility and just to really have to fight for everything that we need in our everyday lives. I think just for us, it's just trying to pave a better path and make it easier for others and not only ourselves. So yeah, that just kind of sparked our interest to want to improve in all levels that we can. Yeah.
I think that Kelly and I have really learned the power of the lived experience and how much that adds to, like, if we want to actually enact real change on behalf of our community, we need to have a seat at the table to share our needs, to make sure that that change reflects the needs, of the MD and rare disease community. So that's kind of what sparked our interest to start raising our voices more.
And so what would be the focus of your, like what do you focus on raising awareness about or the change that you're looking to see?
Yeah, I think Avery and I have different passions just outside of disability. A lot of that is hobby related. So like I love to travel. So a lot of my things is like travel accessibility with just like transportation and accessible driving and things like that, and just more structural or architectural types of accessibility like curb cuts and buildings and just things like that that are difficult in different areas. And so for me, I know that's a challenge. So I just try to spearhead and advocate when I can and where I can to try to improve that experience for others.
Yeah, and for me, it's more through my dance. I'm a part of a professional dance company in NYC. I'm located just outside of the city, but NYC has kind of become my second home. And with that, I'm just really passionate about authentic disability representation in the entertainment industry and the media, so that everyone knows in our community that their their story can be put up against a narrative, whether it be in a movie or a Broadway show or a magazine. Um, just it's not often that we see ourselves being represented in the industry, in entertainment and media, and so it's important that people know that they can feel seen and heard and validated through those types of our society. I've danced at the most well-known theaters in NYC, and I was the first wheelchair user to dance on the great stage of Radio City Music Hall. And so I hope that every time I get on a stage or get in front of a camera, or even um, for those who work behind the camera, behind the scenes, backstage during a show, that people are changed for the better and their perspective on how the disability community can be a part of the entertainment industry is changed.
So to continue in that vein, Avery, what challenges have you seen when you first got into the entertainment world, and what advances have you seen?
Yeah, so again, just kind of going back to the lived experience, I didn't really realize how much of a lack of knowledge or access there was in the industry for those who are a part of the disability community. And so I think a lot of people um, don't realize the lack of support there is within the industry. And you really just kind of have to find your people who are willing to work with you to um, break down those barriers. Through all the experiences, I think a lot of people would think that they are truly once in a lifetime opportunities, and they are, but I think especially through those, that's where I've found the lack of knowledge, the lack of accessibility. A lot of our theaters in NYC are on the older side, and so infrastructure wise, they're fairly inaccessible, but I've shown up to theaters and people just hadn't thought of that before, that I would not necessarily be able to access the stage or access a dressing room on a set or something. Um, I would say the other thing is just people are usually scared to approach something like that and are scared to work with someone like me. And so there's a lack of representation, period, in the industry. And even if there is, it's usually checking off a box to be able to say that they included someone with a disability. And so it's not genuine in any way. Um, it is just, dehumanizing to see. I've had people say, like, we want in our project to include people of all kinds, every different ability, every different way that people can look. And then I would, like, approach the project and I would not be seen in a shot or stuff like that. And it's just dehumanizing, but I've definitely learned you got to find your people who are willing to support you in that way and break down those barriers and kind of find what works for you, whether it be how to execute a really quick costume change or stuff like that. So it's definitely been a journey, but I can feel that we're close to really seeing more of our disability community represented in the industry, but we just gotta keep working, keep the conversation going around that change.
So do you think this DEI wave has led to authentic opportunity, or more like sort of staged opportunity just to sort of meet that quota for you?
I think it's definitely the stage opportunity. I think it's a lot of, again, checking a box off a list to be able to say that they included someone in the disability community, and it's less of that authentic and genuine fulfillment. Um, and of course, it then becomes less genuine for the person that is at the center of all of it. And I think that um, it's again, it's just dehumanizing and discouraging. And I think a lot of people then don't think that they can be a part of the industry or seen and heard in that way. Um, and so you kind of have to find the balance between willing to work with people to, again, have that like teaching moment and education moment, um, or you just kind of unfortunately let it go and continue to not be represented. in the community. Yeah, I feel like there was something else I was gonna say and it totally just left my head. Um, yeah, maybe it'll come back to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we move on, I just wanted to ask, is there an association or an organization that lends to advocacy for individuals with disabilities in the entertainment world? Is that something that you've thought of being a part of yourself, or does it already exist?
I believe there's more niche organizations, and I would love for them to be more at the forefront, um, for so that more people, especially in the community, know about them. I think there's different ones like and like accessibility consultants of like a theater that can come with you to ensure that you are set in that way. That's really cool. I think there's starting to be more accessibility consultants on movie sets, which is really important. Just, not only in front of the camera, but behind, like with dressing rooms and bathrooms and everything, ensuring that you have access to those. Um, there needs to be more of it. I've even thought of becoming someone like that,
Mhm.
so that I can then lend my lived experience to it. Um, yeah, again, it just needs to not be just checking a box.
Yeah.
Um, there needs to be something more behind it.
Because I myself totally understand you go to a venue or you want to, participate in something and it's inaccessible and you want to, share your opinion, but you first off don't know who you would talk to. You might send an email to someone within that company, but, they'll say they'll do a thing. And do you find that if you've ever done that, that things change or you just have to, keep reminding them or just, keep raising awareness about it?
For sure. And I think it's not even just being a part of the industry, but like you're saying, when you go to a venue for something, there's such a limited amount of accessible seats. I know that Kelly, when she's a huge concert goer, that's a whole other thing. Just access to the tickets for accessible seats, or you would show up to an accessible seat and there's like a
Mhm.
folded chair in the way. And so you just kind of have to move it or ask someone else to move it. And because there's such a limited amount, there's not equal access for people in the disability community and just the general public, like able-bodied people. And so that's something that I've definitely found. And even like when I see other people starting to build new theaters, I always try to be the one to kind of step in there and be like, okay, so you're starting to build it. Let's have accessibility infrastructure be thought about from the start, as you're creating it to try and really create that change for the future. Yeah.
And I guess for Kelly there, like attending concerts and stuff like that, like do you find that the seating is in an appropriate place, or do you sometimes show up to an event, or they're pretty accommodating, or like is there some frustrations that you run into at times?
Yeah, for sure. So I think big arena shows are definitely better in that because there's more people there, they have to do, better guidelines and things like that. But it still means that you're fighting against a lot more people to get those accessible seats. And I would say just a lot of the smaller, more general admission type venues, it's more of accessibility afterthought. So
Mm.
there's things like makeshift ramps that are super sketchy, which they get you in the building, but it's also like really unsafe and you're going into like a back alley somewhere
Sure.
dark to access it. And it's usually by like a dumpster or something gross like that. That's really not fun to just try to navigate around. And then yeah, too, just like parking in general
Mm.
too for big shows that are like sold out, you have to really try to get good parking spot and it's just the whole thing. So I would say that um, yes and no. I think there's been improvements, but I think there's still a pretty long way to go as far as having a most enjoyable experience for all attendees. So
Right. And one question I wanted to ask you is like, if you have a certain group that you attend a few of their concerts, do you ever get to, or do they ever get to know you in a way? And do you think them just knowing you're there and having that influence can, maybe help them have some influence in the future? Right. And one question I wanted to ask you is like, if you have a certain group that you attend a few of their concerts, do you ever get to, or do they ever get to know you in a way? And do you think them just knowing you're there and having that influence can, maybe help them have some influence in the future?
Yeah, I hope so. So, one of my favorite venues, they actually have like a side stage ADA. So it's almost like you're almost right up on stage with them. And I think it is surprising to a lot of the artists to see, wow, like
Mhm.
there's wheelchair users at the front. Like that
Mhm.
never happens usually. And yeah, I hope that they do see that we are there. We want to be a part of the event. We enjoy that experience too, to maybe in the future make that a priority to only play at
Mhm.
venues and shows with their booking agents, have more ADA stuff in mind. I think it does start there, seeing that connection to fans that are more unexpected, or they didn't know that they have, a following from those people. But yeah, I would say more too. It's also like my making connections in like the venue space, so that the security or the venue staff get to know me a little more after attending, and so I think they become aware of my needs and what works for me, and then that sometimes gets communicated over to the artist or their team. Um, so yeah, I hope that it all leads to something. But yeah, I think just awareness in general is something that's always going to spark the most change.
So Kelly, we read in the article that you guys sent us that you're an avid traveler. You love to drive. You got a souped up, what is it, a van or a truck or a car that
Yeah,
you?
and so I have a Honda Sport minivan. So it's like
Okay.
a sport minivan.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I'm obsessed with it. And yeah, so I have it all suited up to like have a side entry ramp, and I drive with what's called EMC controls, so electronic mobility controls. So I
Mhm.
drive actually with a joystick, and then a little computer system on my left side. So I steer, move, do everything with my hands. And yeah, I just love to go and travel, and I'm really privileged and know that that's not something everybody can do. And so I love to get out there and travel and go places. And yeah, it's really exciting.
So I might be putting you on the spot here, so you can decide if
Okay.
you want to answer or not. So, what
Oh,
has been the most accommodating state so far that you've been to?
oh, that's hard. It depends on what you say comedy. So I would say it's hard because I would say NYC is decent in the fact that the ability to utilize public transit is
Mm.
easier in like bigger cities. So where I am, like I'm out in the suburbs of Ohio, and so we don't have any public transit that at all is usable.
Mm.
I would say maybe DC. I feel like DC is a um, good place to get around for sure. So yeah, I'm gonna go DC.
All right. All right. So I don't know if you've been to DC or not, Avery, but apparently it's a place to go to.
No, I completely agree. I was hoping that Kelly was gonna say that.
I pivoted. I was like, oh, what do I say? Yes.
Kelly knows that I'm a huge lover of DC, and I think it is probably the most successful city in at least the States in the US. It's so funny to hear Kelly's perspective on NYC because I don't think that NYC
I
is,
mean, it has its problems with like
yeah,
curb cuts and building accessibility, but like you don't understand like being out in like the rural areas, like we
yeah,
don't have buses, we don't have subways, we don't have any of that. So
right,
it's like, wow, and like you can get an accessible Uber in New
yeah.
York City, like that's not even a thing
I mean,
here.
Mm.
So that's where I see it as
yeah,
kind of
you
more
can,
accessible.
but like I think in terms of public transportation, it also has its negatives because usually like with subways and stuff, like the elevators to get down to the subways are
Mhm.
usually broken. So you're stuck
It's there, but it's still not,
underground and you're like, I don't
yeah.
know how to get up. And also it's they don't do a great job with notifying people which elevators are not
Yeah.
working or broken. And so it's funny how a city that has a lot of money in the country is pretty much on the lower end of the list in terms of accessibility. um, in the country, but I definitely think that DC is probably the most in the US just because of its infrastructure and its accessibility and the metro. And I think they also have ADA accessible Ubers down there. It's just, it's incredible. And I think that a lot of cities in the US and even outside of the US globally should really take a look at DC and see how they can model it.
Now, one question I'll have is, as far as, accessibility is great when it's usually nice weather, but I mean, in the areas you live in, I mean, do you find that when the winter comes, it just is a big struggle with accessibility or?
Absolutely, yes. I feel like this past winter was the most brutal. I know Avery lives even more north than me, but Ohio winters are no fun, and we got a lot of snow and bitter cold, and yeah, I would say absolutely that deters my ability to travel, ability to just be outside for long periods of time. Yeah, I definitely hibernate in the winter months, so. Come summer, which now I'm like in full go mode, like make up for it for being cooped up for so long. So yeah, unfortunately, weather plays a huge factor too. Even in the rain with our power wheelchairs, we have to. I'm constantly opening the weather app to be like, what's my day gonna be like? Do I need to pivot? Like, oh, so it's on a constant thing for us. I feel like when we're planning anything to get out anywhere.
For sure, there's so much planning that goes into doing something as simple as going to run an errand. So I would say that also Google Street View has been our best friend throughout this whole journey. Just being able to look for ourselves at if a place is truly accessible, because everyone's perspective and definition of accessibility is different. And so someone who uses a manual wheelchair might be able to get into somewhere, whereas Kelly and I might not be able to with our power wheelchairs just because they're a little bit more bulky and lower to the ground. So we might not be able to clear a threshold into a place or something. So we like to see it with our own eyes, and luckily Google Street View is able to enable us to do that.
Yes,
Very
definitely
cool.
zoomed in on all the entrances and be like, is that a step? Is that a ramp? Like, what do I see?
So you guys also mentioned in the article that we read about life as single women. What has that been like? Is it in comparison to, I don't know, single men or in a relation? Like what's your experience been in sort of that world as you navigate?
Right. Yeah, I think just being women in general is difficult in today's society, all the pressures and things. I think just adding the disability element has always been even more difficult and more challenges. Yeah, I just think I don't know, me and Avery are strong, I feel like confident women, but yeah, so I'd say definitely navigating that world of pursuing significant others has always been even more of a challenge and puzzle. But yeah, if you have anything to add, Avery.
No, I would just say that it's important to talk about the fact that everyone is worthy of love, no matter how you look or what your situation is. And so I think Kelly and I just kind of live with the mantra of everything happens for a reason and we're worthy of it too. And we love standing with women of all kinds, whether you're in a relationship or not. There's such a tribe, and it really takes a village, and we love sharing experiences and stuff. And so if it's supposed to happen, it will happen someday. And but everyone's worthy of it. And I heard the other day that love always wins. And so um really try to live by that.
Now, one question I have is, do you find that women within the disability community are very supportive of each other and
Yeah, that's an interesting question and dynamic. I would definitely say that I think women uplift each other women. I like to see, girls, people rooting for each other and trying to uplift them. Yeah, I think that rings true also for the disability community. I don't really think any of us are trying to really compete or tear us down. I think we're stronger together, and empower each other. So yeah, I would think that we're pretty supportive in that way.
Yeah, I think just adding on to what Kelly said, I completely agree and just totally echo what she said. I think there's just power in numbers, and so I think no matter what gender you identify with, there's power um coming together as a collective. And sure, I think that females are more it's just kind of like a general, I feel like stereotype kind of that we empower each other more. And I mean, I would say it's true. I think there's more empowerment behind all that we do, but I think that no matter what gender you identify with, that they're just the support within every community is really what pushes everyone forward.
And the disability community is very supportive. Like I've found myself that sometimes certain forms of muscular dystrophy, they might stick together, and that's why part of our mission is to, let everyone else connect with other people with other forms of muscular dystrophy to know that there's a lot of things we can relate to. Do you find that you're making a lot of connections with people, within the muscular dystrophy community?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like you said, I think that we can all, just with the disability community in general, like we're the largest minority. So I feel like us like banding together and having our commonalities is really powerful. And so, yeah, I definitely think us working together and us, collabing throughout the commonalities of MD is just a great positive thing in general. I think that everyone should try to, look outside their subtypes that we can all relate, we can all bond, we all want the same things in general, so equality and all of that. So I think yes, for sure.
I think the disability community is definitely a supportive community, and um, there's I think the disability community is the largest minority in the world. And so, although we're kind of considered rare, we're not so rare at the same time. And so, we've just learned the power of sharing experiences and, connecting with others who are traveling along a similar journey as us. And Kelly and I love networking and connecting with people. Um, and yeah, we're just proud to be a part of this incredible community.
And I guess one other thing I'd ask is, like, what future plans do you have on both the sides of the entertainment and also, and also the traveling side of things?
Yeah, I think just to keep getting out there and always like try to run up myself and have personal goals and keep getting out there. I know I would like to visit all of the states in the US. I'm close. I think I'm like 10 shy right now. So that's like a personal goal of mine, is to visit all the states and just continue to challenge myself, just with all of the rare disease and disability community, keep doing more speeches, keep connecting, keep um, all those things. So I just love to keep at it. So and see what kind of change we can really make for the future.
Yeah, I think, alongside Kelly, I'm really excited to continue all the work that we're doing, what we've dedicated our life's work to, of just raising our voices, challenging the stereotypes and the status quo, and enacting real change and promoting and kind of exploring disability inclusion done right in society and what that means, and just really ensuring that our community has a seat at the table, that we continue to move the needle and conversations, that we keep conversations going. And I'm just really excited to see what the future holds for us and our community.
No, as we wrap up, you guys are really making a huge impact from what we've heard and what we've seen for the disability community. What advice could you give to individuals who sort of want to get into advocacy, whether it's in their backyard or on a larger scale? What's some advice that you could give them?
Yeah, I think that the first step is the scariest. So I think just diving in, big or small, to really challenge yourself. I know I was afraid to really start like public speaking and doing my first like legislative advocacy meetings with my representatives. That was like terrifying, and it's a lot to to be like, oh my gosh, am I really doing this? And but it's really it's worth it in the end to really see that your voice is so powerful and that you can really help with change. And yeah, I would just say just don't be scared. Take the step, the first step. It's worth it in the end, and to really challenge yourself. And the scary things are usually the most worthwhile, in my opinion. Like, oh my gosh, it's terrifying, but I survived it. I'm here, and now you're past it. So just like keep moving forward and just and just dive in if you can.
Um, I would say I think a lot of people don't realize that you can participate in advocacy at as small or as big a capacity that, works for you and your life and situation. There's ways to participate just by, quick action alerts that you can input your info and then just send it off within 5 minutes and you've advocated. Or you could do something as big as meeting with your legislators and their offices to share your story, to ensure that public policy reflects the needs of you and your community. So really, there's just you can do it in whatever ways that you feel like relates to you and works for you, whether it be via social media as well. That's a huge form of advocacy as well, and just connecting with other patient advocacy organizations. Yeah, I would just say just like continue to stay true to you and your story and raise your voice in all areas of society and your life, and keep being your authentic self. And Kelly always says, don't take no for an answer. And I love that. And it's so true when you're living this unique journey of living with a disability. And so, and yeah, just, start conversations and keep them going. And if we're able to come together, that's how I think we'll really be able to enact real change. Yeah.
Okay. And if people want to follow you guys in socials or whatever it is, keep track of what you guys are doing, where can they find you?
Yeah, mine's super easy. So I am the Kelly Berger, KELLYBERGER, and literally on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the things, the Kelly Berger.
All
Yeah,
right.
same here. I'm on all platforms like Kelly. You can either find me by my name, Avery Roberts, AVERYROBERTS, or on Instagram. I think my handle is at Avery.Nicole916, something like that. So yeah, Kelly and I love connecting with others, and so please don't hesitate to reach out. We look forward to meeting everyone and chatting.
Well, I know the accessibility guys are going to continue to track you guys and see what you guys are doing, your advocacy and your traveling and your dancing and everything. It's been wonderful getting to know you guys and chatting with you, and we really appreciate you joining us.
Same here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it was a super fun
Awesome.
conversation. Yeah.
Have an awesome day. Take it easy.